My name is Emily Carson, 36 years old, mother of two, senior executive at a prestigious architecture firm. I had it all: a modern house in the suburbs, a reliable husband who kissed me goodbye each morning, two children who still looked up when I entered the room, and a salary most people would envy. I lived in a well-manicured world of PTA meetings, fresh-cut lawns, carpool schedules, and conference calls. My husband, David, worked as a civil engineer. He loved golf, grilled steaks on Sundays, and never forgot anniversaries. Our children, Ava and Owen, were the kind who drew thank you cards for their teachers and still called me Mommy at night. But all of that came undone on a single Thursday night in October. We had a pitch celebration at the office. One of our biggest designs had been approved, a sprawling commercial complex downtown. I stayed late, laughing, drinking wine I didn't need, soaking in the admiration of my colleagues. It felt good to be admired, to feel alive in a way motherhood had slowly dulled. Around 11 p.m., the party thinned. I refused the suggestion to take a cab, even after Michelle offered twice. "It's just 15 minutes, I told her, fumbling with my keys. "I'm fine." The night was clear. The streets shimmered with leftover rain. I turned up the radio, loosened my blouse collar, and laughed to myself at nothing. I was free. Then the world turned. A flash of movement, a scream, a thud so deep it echoed inside my chest. I slammed the brakes. There she was, an old woman, frail. Her gray hair fanned across the pavement like spilled milk. Her cane lay snapped nearby. I stumbled out of the car, heart hammering. She was breathing. Her eyes blinked, slowly, like underwater lilies. "Help," she croaked. My phone trembled in my hand. I saw it all. The courtroom, the mugshots, the headlines. Mother of two kills pedestrian. My children crying. My job gone. David, disappointed. My perfect world shattered. So I did the unthinkable. I dragged her. Hands slick with panic, I pulled her toward the bushes near the sidewalk. She moaned. I wept. "I'm sorry. I'm so sorry," I kept repeating. I left her there. As I turned to run, she whispered something. I remember it clearly. "You'll regret this, but it will be too late." I got into the car, drove home, showered until my skin blistered. I burned my clothes, hid my car in the garage. David was asleep. The next morning, the world looked the same, but everything had changed. I followed the news obsessively. No reports, no alerts, no amber warnings, nothing. Then, 3 days later, a short article buried in the local section. Elderly woman found dead near Edgewood Parkway. No foul play suspected. Natural causes presumed. No immediate family. I threw up. I tried to move on. I smiled at the kids, went to work, cooked dinner. I even laughed at David's dumb jokes. But something inside me began to shift. My hands shook when I held a pen. I jumped at doorbells. I couldn't look in mirrors without seeing her eyes, her breath, her whisper. A week after the article, Owen came down with a fever. Nothing unusual. Kids get sick. But then Ava followed, then David. Then David started drinking. He'd never been a heavy drinker. A glass of wine, maybe a beer. But now it was whiskey. Cheap, fast, and constant. With the drinking came anger. Not screaming, not at first, just silence, long silences. Then came slammed doors, then broken plates, then bruises on Owen's arm. Ava flinching when he passed. I tried to talk to him. I tried everything. "Is something wrong? Leave me alone. You're scaring the kids. Maybe they should be scared." I cried myself to sleep most nights. At work, I made mistakes, missed meetings, lost clients. Eventually, they let me go. Restructuring, they said. We'll call you if something opens. No one called. And the dream started. At first, just shadows. Then her face, bloodied, eyes open, unblinking. She would whisper that same line. You'll regret this, but it will be too late. I tried therapy. I lasted one session. I couldn't even say it out loud, because saying it would make it real, and real meant guilt, and guilt meant punishment, and punishment had already started. I started hearing her voice while awake. Once, while brushing Ava's hair, I heard a whisper from the hallway. She doesn't deserve this. Another time, while folding laundry, the radio turned on by itself. Static and one word, repeated faintly, regret. At first, I thought I was losing my mind. But then the power in the house would flicker whenever I cried. Pictures fell off walls without cause. The smell of lavender, the same as the woman's perfume, began to seep into the bedroom. One evening, I found Ava staring at the corner of her room. What are you looking at, sweetie? The sad lady, she said. There's no one there. She comes when you cry. David was now fully drunk most nights, sleeping on the couch or not at all. He lost his job, blamed me, screamed that I ruined him. He hit me once, then twice. The children withdrew. Ava stopped drawing. Owen had nightmares and screamed until his voice went hoarse. I knew I had to do something. I returned to the bush where I'd left her. Grass had overgrown the area. I kneeled and whispered, I'm sorry. The wind picked up. I swear I heard, too late. Then came the letters. Slipped under the door. No return address. Always handwritten. Always the same sentence. I saw what you did. They came every Thursday. I couldn't breathe. I stopped eating. My body thinned, my cheeks hollowed. I looked like the ghost that haunted me. Then one day, a letter came with a photo of me, standing above her body. Who had taken it? I hired a private investigator. He found nothing. No traffic cams, no witnesses, no one near Edgewood that night. But the letters continued. I turned to the only thing I had left, the local priest. He listened silently. Then he said something I never expected. You're not the first. What? She was different. A woman people called the Watcher. She saw things. They say she could tell when someone was hiding guilt. She'd follow them, appear in dreams, until they confessed. I don't believe in curses. You should. I asked around, visited the neighborhood. One elderly man told me she'd lost her daughter in a car accident years ago. A hit and run. She waited for justice her whole life, he said. Maybe she still is. Pieces clicked. The woman I hit, she was the mother of someone who died in the same way. She had waited, and I became the echo. I thought confession would fix it. I went to the police, stood outside the station for hours, and turned back, because I heard my daughter cry in my mind, and I knew I'd lose them all. Instead, I wrote a letter. Everything. Left it in the church. Next morning, Ava was gone. No note, no signs of struggle, just her favorite stuffed animal, and a scent of lavender in the air. The days after Ava disappeared were the darkest I had ever faced. Each moment dragged on like a funeral march, slow, relentless, suffocating. The house that once held laughter was now a hollow shell filled with silence and shadows. David blamed me. His eyes were glassy with alcohol and rage every time he looked at me. This is your fault, he snarled one night after a meaningless argument. The words stabbed me deeper than any blow. The man I loved had become a stranger, a tormentor. Owen, my sweet boy, barely spoke anymore. His bright eyes dulled, and he hid behind the curtains, afraid of the world outside. The nights were the worst. He would scream in terror, haunted by nightmares only a child could endure. I wandered through the days, numb but desperate. The police had begun to doubt me. Whispers behind closed doors, suspicious glances. They saw a woman unraveling, broken and maybe guilty. But what could I tell them? How could I confess to a sin so dark, a secret so shameful? Every Thursday, a letter arrived, typed cold and precise, addressed to the one who left me. Inside was a photo of Ava, alive but distant, standing in front of a grave marked Margaret Ellison, the woman I had hit all those months ago. I drove to the cemetery the very next day. Rows of stones stretched endlessly, cold and indifferent. I found the grave and then the figure. It was me. Same clothes, same tired eyes, but serene, almost peaceful. She didn't speak, only pointed to the stone. I fell to my knees, tears burning my cheeks. "I'm sorry," I whispered, but it felt like my apology fell on deaf ears. The next morning, David left. He took Owen with him, filing for full custody. The courtroom was unforgiving. I was a broken woman, my past mistakes laid bare, my family torn apart. Alone, I spiraled. The shadows grew darker, whispers louder. The scent of lavender haunted my dreams. The voice of the woman, Evelyn, echoed relentlessly, demanding justice I could never give. In the quiet of the night, I heard footsteps on the porch. I dared not look. I knew she was there. My mind fractured. Days blurred into nights. I found myself at the edge of sanity, wrestling with memories and guilt. Then, one night, Ava appeared in my dreams, reaching out, tears in her eyes. "Mom," she whispered, "come find me." I woke with a start, hope flickering in my heart. But dawn brought no answers, only emptiness. I began searching the woods, the roads, the places we once went as a family. Every corner held a memory, every shadow a promise lost. Weeks passed. The police had no leads. David was silent, cold, and distant. Owen refused to speak to me, his eyes filled with confusion and pain. The house became my prison, walls closing in with every breath. One evening, I found an old music box in the attic, carved with roses. I hadn't seen it before. The melody was hauntingly familiar. Inside, a note. "You cannot hide from what you have done." I dropped it. The pieces shattered, and from the cracks, a cold darkness spilled forth. I screamed into the void. No one came. I became a ghost in my own life. Months later, I received one last letter. No words, just a single black rose, pressed between the pages. That night, I understood. Some sins cannot be forgiven. They only consume. Some sins don't seek justice. They demand sacrifice. And by the time you understand that, it's already too late.